A 13-year-old girl stabs 2 teachers and then a pupil at her school in Ammanford, West Wales in April 2024. It was headline news level horror, and among the first to respond...
You don't think, you just go into autopilot.
Deputy Head Teacher Kerry Myers.
Your initial reaction, so for me, was just, what can I do in this situation and how can we get people treated, and also the person who was involved, move her to a place where she's isolated from everybody else.
What were the warning signs? Or were there any warning signs?
There's been warning signs in schools for the last sort of 10 years where behaviour has gradually got worse.
The victims survived and Kerry left the school soon after. But it was not the first assault he'd seen in his career.
Have you been attacked?
I've been punched. When I was attacked, it was literally asking somebody, can you stand to one side so we can have a conversation about your uniform? And the next thing I was punched in the back of the head. So asking students to follow simple instructions like that, whereas in years gone by, having perfect uniform would have been an expectation. Now correcting uniform, which isn't perfect, can lead to an attack happening.
We've been investigating school violence for several months now, and it's clear it's something that no school is immune from. Head teachers can't make this go away entirely, but they do have choices about how to respond.
Morning, gentlemen. Jackets here. Morning.
We're at the Duston School, Northampton, where head teacher Sam Strickland has the sort of focus on behaviour you'd expect from someone who's written 3 books about it.
There are certain behaviours that we simply will not condone if they ever were to arise. Physical harm towards a member of staff, physical harm towards one of your peers, we would absolutely suspend or potentially permanently exclude if we had to. What you then have is a calm learning environment where teachers can teach and children can learn. This morning we are looking at knife crime again and keeping yourself safe.
In 2023, a teenager from a neighbouring school was fatally stabbed. Here at Duston, it was a moment to confront the issue.
So lots of our students knew this particular boy, and we felt the need that we needed to push this idea so that they knew that we knew that things were going on and that we could try and keep them safe as much as possible outside of school.
And it's really important that you're aware of the dangers and consequences of knife crime.
These can be uncomfortable conversations for 15-year-olds, but here they're not shied away from.
There's definitely a lot of teenagers that I think are getting involved with this stuff, and I think people are struggling to talk about it as well.
Why is that?
I think they know that it's not a good thing to be doing, but they're carrying knives because it makes them feel safe.
Especially men in particular, the stigma's men can't talk and men can't cry and stuff, so they feel like they haven't got that support network of people they can actually talk to. So they feel like they have to carry a knife in order to protect themselves because they can't express their emotions and feelings in other ways.
Do people your age carry knives?
They could do, but
yeah.
You never know really.
Yeah, it depends if they're showing off or not. Yeah.
Is that something that worries you?
Sometimes, because you don't know what people are capable of. So it's kind of scary.
Do you pick up on what their fears are about this? And I mean, because a lot of the conversation recently has been about young people suppressing
Absolutely.
What's going on.
We are finding that more, to be completely honest. We have a really good system within school to obviously safeguard our children, but even having one trusted adult within the school that a child feels they can go and speak to, I think is important.
We don't have a major issue in this school, but we are trying to take the bull by the horns and be on a front footing.
They are taking every precaution here.
Do you have a plan in place? Should someone bring a knife into this school?
Yes, so we have a lockdown procedure, and that can either be a partial lockdown, where if, for argument's sake, somebody came into our main car park with a weapon, we would partially lock the school down by closing all of the doors to the actual school itself. If there was the necessity for a full-scale lockdown, because there was actually an intruder in the building itself, staff are trained to barricade their classroom doors. Children know exactly where they need to go. We've had to simulate and rehearse these practice lockdown procedures so everybody knows what to do in the event of hopefully, heaven forbid, something that we don't ever want to see happening in a school. And no talking now and on me.
And that is what it's come to, stabbing drills in even the safest schools, praying there's never a day where it's not a test.
So what's really going on in and around our classrooms? Well, tonight our fact-check team can reveal alarming new exclusive figures on violent crimes at schools. Violent crimes include a range of offences from physical assaults and making threats to kill to robberies and carrying weapons. We've discovered there were at least 21,000 violent crimes at schools in 2024. These are crimes that were actually recorded by the police, with just over half of forces in England and Wales able to give us this information. So clearly the true number will be higher still. That's equivalent to more than 100 violent crimes every school day. Now, these would include crimes committed by adults as well as young people. Over time, then, we can see just how entrenched this problem is. Here are forces who could supply us with 6 years' worth of figures. Around 18,000 violent crimes in schools in 2019, dipping during the pandemic, before peaking at over 23,000 in 2023, and still remaining high, mind, in 2024. Now let's focus in on knife crimes at schools specifically. There were at least 631 knife crimes recorded at schools last year. That's equivalent to 16 knife crimes every school week. And most shockingly, we can reveal there were at least 150 stabbings or other knife crimes which caused injuries recorded at schools last year. That's equivalent to 4 a week during term time. Now, these could include crimes involving other sharp objects like needles or glass. They could also include crimes where a knife was involved, but the attack victim was injured another way. And again, the true numbers across England and Wales will be even higher. Well, we put our revelations to the Education Secretary for England, Bridget Phillipson.
The figures are deeply concerning, and sadly what I hear from a lot of teachers and school leaders is that we also see too much low-level disruption and really big challenges around behaviour. We're going to be setting up more very soon on the further steps we intend to take to support schools on behaviour management within schools. I mean, they have our full backing in taking necessary steps to protect children and to keep them safe.
We've also heard from the Welsh Government, who said any form of violence in schools was completely unacceptable, and they would continue working on ways of dealing with challenging behaviours over the coming year. Police forces in Scotland and Northern Ireland didn't provide us with figures.